I have the pleasure, what was it, a couple months ago, of speaking to your group. So several of you were there. And, you know, it amazes me. Because listening to that group when we talked, you were reasonable people. And you were people that wanted to look at both sides. And you wanted to investigate. And you asked hard questions. But you looked at both sides. Now, I'm not here to attack these ladies. Okay? They have an opinion, and that's fine. But you might want to consider, if as a Scientologist, she talked about confidential information. She agreed to not betray that confidence, yet here she is betraying it.
I'm not a Scientologist.
Okay, but...
So I'm not betraying anything.
Well...
I'm not a Scientologist.
Okay. But if I made a promise to someone, no matter what, I would keep that.
But you're not, I'm
so
not
I want
that.
you to look at that as a reasonable person. I mean, if you made a promise to your wife, even though you're no longer married, you made the promise.
It's not the same
so
thing.
I would look at that side of it.
So you're unethical and I'm ethical.
So we talked about the Sea Org. I've been in Scientology since 1971. I have 3 children. They've all done Scientology courses. One of them is in the Sea Org and has been for the last 5 years. The Scientology they talked about is not the one that I know. So I do tell you to seek their advice and look at the other side. Because there is another side. There is another side. We help people. The definition of a Scientologist is one who uses Scientology to change conditions for the better. That's what we do. We don't have meetings to defame or to defile others. So kind of look at where these ladies are coming from, because I don't quite understand why they would even have such a meeting.
Because, can I answer that question?
No.
Why not?
Because you had your turn.
Ah.
So, look for yourself. Read Hubbard's writings. I have a business that we use the administrative technology of Scientology. And I'll be forthright. It's called Leo Hamlin Company Fine Jewelry. Okay? My son worked at Delphi. They don't have the religious stuff in there, in the curriculum. It's not there. Why? Because we're using that as individuals, not as a church, not as a branch, not as to proselytize to get more members in our business. We use it because it works. Why does Scientology go? Because it works. Why didn't it work for her? I have no idea, but you should ask that question. She's very easy to say what they did to her, but all of us know that it takes 2 to tango. So what's her side of it? What did she do or not do? Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank all the Scientologists for joining us here and sharing their stories. I appreciate this open discussion, and I think it's good if we can be civil about it and share both sides. I would like to know first why you are upset that she broke a promise in revealing top-level material.
Sure, but let me answer since you asked me. I would be upset if you told me you weren't going to film me and now you're filming me. It's a broken promise. And I know, just from human reaction, that if you break that promise, the next promise is easier to break, and the next one. So if you can't tell me the truth, then I know I can't depend on you for the truth.
And yet there are plenty of whistleblowers in government agencies or other fields who have taken similar oaths, and yet they stand up to say, listen, what we did in this situation is wrong, and I think the public should be aware of it. Isn't it possible that people can be concerned that the upper level materials of Scientology are kept confidential when some people feel that really that information should be available? People should be aware when they get into Scientology that this is what it's building up to.
Well, I explained to this group because they asked a similar question. And it might have been you, actually answered the question. And you said, you're not going to understand the next thing if you don't understand the earlier thing.
And yet,
And it's that simplicity of it.
Right.
Now,
and yet I am aware of the upper level material, and I believe I do understand it. Now, I don't understand all of the techniques you use to handle those upper levels, but I do understand the content of the upper levels and the reasons for them.
okay.
I don't think it's mysterious.
That's
I think
fine.
I understand.
It's like, to me, what you're saying right now, it's like, if I want to become a brain surgeon, I'm going to have to take different levels of training to get to that point where I know just where to cut or which is whatever, right? And, but there's 10 levels of becoming a top brain surgeon, and I do the first 2, and then I try to do number 10, because 10 looks really simple. I got to go in somebody's head and do a clip here. But if I don't have the stuff in the middle, excuse me, I might kill a few people in the process. That's all I'm saying, and I'll just leave it with that. Okay?
But I will say that I am not performing brain surgery. I don't need to understand how to precisely do the technique to understand the basics of brain surgery. I would not perform brain surgery, nor would I.
I think it's as important as an analogy just to see that something taken out of gradient, out of step, like he said, are you going to be able to do it? And if you haven't had the prior training for it, and whatever training goes along with it from a technological standpoint, also from an auditing viewpoint, you can create messes. That's all.
Could I ask you one or two other questions?
Why can he answer questions and we can't?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
Can I just say something first, please? About the same thing you're talking about? Okay, I read this thing that the humanists have, which is, are you a humanist? And first of all, I wanted to say that I agree with just about everything that you have for all of your tenets. And in fact, many of them align with the same things that we believe in Scientology. Okay? And
You don't question any of that?
I wanted to point out number 4, which is human beings can figure out what's right and wrong. And that's the one that directly, I agree with the most and was not observed here by these ladies because, there's a certain thing, and many religions have certain things that are sacred to that religion. For example, if you're Catholic and you go to a confessional, the priest will not divulge what you say in that confessional because it's private and it's confidential. This is a direct analogy to the upper levels. There's a reason why they are kept confidential and why you're not supposed to see them until you reach a certain level. You may read them and think you understand them, but unless you've had everything prior to that, you really don't. And that's like a violation of our religion, and I deeply am very upset about that.
Is there something I need to know about Incident 3 and the exploding volcano and the fact that we have body takings on us? Is there something that is deeper that I don't understand?
I refuse to discuss that because it is confidential. And I would like to know why these people feel the need to bring out things like that. A lot of churches have, the Mormon church has things in their initiation process which are also held confidential. And, it's, what did these people do to the church that they have to bring out things like that to try to make us seem ridiculous or funny,
I guess I'd ask the same question. Is this a religious debate or is it I guess I kind of thought that the purpose was just to understand the Scientology organization more and to tell you the truth, what's perceived as their behavior.
That's fine. So we're answering those questions right now.
Well,
if you want us to discuss
right.
confidential materials, we're not going to do it.
All right, so
Okay,
even...
I think most of the people who are going to be involved in certainly viewing this video or some of these further discussions, they already are aware of OP3 and the upper
They
levels.
don't know what it means, okay? They haven't taken the prerequisites to get there and earn the right to look at that stuff. Because somebody broke in and stole or somehow acquired these materials and put them out on the street or on the internet or on the back of a t-shirt like last year, okay, doesn't mean that it's right, okay? It's that simple. You can break into some temple, some Jewish temple somewhere, and take some of the sacred scriptures, as they call them, or the Mormon Church, or the Catholic Church, or any major religion, and take stuff that isn't meant for everyone's view, and publish it.
Didn't I ask?
The Masons.
Can I ask a question? I can't ask a question. Didn't I say, are you all OTs? I did ask you that.
Fine,
you said,
but they're
yeah.
not.
Okay,
right?
hang on. I asked you, are you all OTs? You said, yeah. Like, fine, roll with it. So, I talked about it. If you would have said, I don't want you to bring up that issue, I'm not done communicating. I'm not done. I'm not a Scientologist. These people, it's anywhere on the internet. You can type in Scientology, and the next thing that comes up in Google, no wait, I listen to you so I can finish. The second thing that comes up is Xenu.net. Xenu is part of the confidential stuff. That's the second thing that comes up in Google. That's not me, that's Google.
Yeah,
okay?
Somebody who illegally took those materials from the church.
David Mayo.
Well, David Mayo, there's a good one.
Right.
There's a good
who
one.
was Ron's auditor.
Oh, yeah.
And you know all the bad things about him.
He was a bad guy.
I know, you think so. I know, and the church paid him off.
Okay,
Why did
fine.
Scientology pay him off?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Help me out here, okay?
Yes, I agree. This is degenerating into
Yes.
an argument.
We're not trying to do
It
that.
shouldn't be. What we want is we want your side of the presentation and the points that you want to bring forward
Thank you.
about what you think is good, proper, whatever, about
Okay,
Scientology.
may I
So
speak?
please go for it.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, some of the background information that was given is inaccurate, and if you go on an impartial website of any kind, Google, CNN, any place where you can get impartial news, you will find that many of the things that were said here are untrue, and that can be proven. The FBI raid in the 1970s, which was all over the LA Times, and Barbara said there were reams of government stolen property. That was proved to be false in a court of law. There was nothing found that was stolen government property, nothing. The Scientologists were acquitted of all charges.
9 of them went to jail.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
But 9 of them went to jail.
All right.
Gets to make the point.
As far as Narconon,
Didn't they? Mary
when
Sue
911
did.
excuse me. When 911 occurred, there were several hundreds of firefighters that were very badly injured. Their lungs had a lot of damage done to them. They went to several medical doctors and were told that there was nothing that could be done about that. They just have to live with it. And these guys were really sick, and this is all evidence. There were x-rays taken of their lungs. They were black. I mean, they were really sick. These guys went through the Narconon program, and they came out, and they were totally cured. Their lungs no longer had any blackness. There was nothing medical wrong with them at all. This can all be verified. Okay?
Where would we go for that?
May I? You could go probably to the New York City firefighters' records and have them send you those. Okay, we've had some of them speak at our events that have attested to that fact, that they actually did go through the program and are now healed. Okay? As far as bringing up people that have died and kept in rooms, such as Linda McPherson, once again, in a legal court of law, Scientology was acquitted of all charges. Okay? In the 1980s, that was the first time I ever went to Clearwater, Florida, and at that time, it was an extremely depressed town. Pretty much all of the businesses in downtown Clearwater had closed down. They were going out of business. There was no income. There was like nothing happening there at the time. Gradually over the years, the past 20 years since the 1980s, as Lou said, the Scientologists started buying the property, rehabilitating the property, bringing Clearwater back to a thriving city that's making money now. People want to come there. Tourism has gone up. They've rehabilitated old buildings, made them into houses that people can actually live in now. These are houses that were formerly condemned. So Scientologists are doing a lot of good. We have another group called the Volunteer Ministers, and we have a lot of things we've done recently. We have over 1,000 people that went over to help the tsunami victims. we had a 15-year-old boy, a Scientologist, who wanted to go over there and help because he read the headlines and said, I can't stand to see how these people are suffering. So we're doing things all over the place with our study technology, with helping people, assisting them in times of need. When we had the fires here last October, we had hundreds of local volunteer ministers on the front lines helping people, helping the firefighters, and didn't ask them for anything in return. Okay, we did it because we care about people. I'd like to ask these two ladies what they do to help people.
It isn't about
It's a rhetorical question at this point, okay, because we have the stage. I'd like to add to that. Ron Hubbard has a lot of things he's said and written. The thing that impressed me the most when I first got into Scientology, because I'm a Latino, I come from East LA, you know, I never had it good growing up, and I always like helping people. That's part of my heritage as a Latino, okay? And one of the things he said that has always stuck with me is that a being is only as valuable as he can help others. A person is only as valuable as they can help others. I realize, because I have a business in town, and I'm all over California in my insurance business, I like to think I'm helping people solve a financial problem when I work with them. Okay? 35 years in the business, and I've never had a complaint filed against me. Not even a complaint, let alone a charge of any kind of wrongdoing. Okay? I'm proud of that. And that's my business life. In my personal life, I was one of those guys who was at Gillespie Field it was 2 years ago, whatever it was, for the fires a year ago. For a whole week, I just shut my business down. I went there with my little funky yellow shirt, and we were directing traffic. We were bringing food in, sleeping bags, whatever these guys needed. Some guys came from Australia to fight the fire. Okay, that's a reach. That's really incredible. And these people, a lot of them came without their equipment they normally have when they're fighting wildfires, because they sleep outside and camp out. They didn't have time to get them. We got on the local TV. We had sleeping bags, pillows, blankets, shaving stuff, whatever these guys needed, and bottled water all over the place. And it was such a beautiful thing to see San Diego hear us and bring the stuff in. Some woman came in with like 40 pillows. She wiped out a Walmart store. And it was like Field of Dreams at the end of the movie. All the cars are lining up to come in, you know. And it was just beautiful. And that's the kind of things that we do. They're not going to tell you about that stuff because it doesn't suit the purpose of an attack. Okay? We were at 9/11, like she said. We were the only people there who actually could do something, put some order in the area, and help these guys out, get them back out on the firing line. Okay? The tsunamis. Anytime there's been a major disaster, it's gotten to the point where CFA, California Forestry, they want us there if they have a problem. When we first got there at Gillespie Field, they thought we were getting in the way. And we cleaned up the area, policed the area. I was directing traffic a couple of days on a little 2-lane road where all the guys were meeting. And it was just something we do. But for a whole week we helped. And they asked us to line the airport the last day when the fires were finally under control, to line the runway, like the police and CHP and the CFA guys and everybody else, the firefighters themselves, when a transport plane came in to take the body of the guy who died and take him and his family back up to up Northern California somewhere. It was an honor to do that. Standing in my little yellow jacket, saluting the airplanes that went by. Okay? That's the stuff you don't hear about from critics. Okay? We made a difference, and we do it every day. You know? And it's like, geez, why does somebody want to attack somebody who's doing good? Let's fight everything wrong we can. Everyone who's had a bad experience with Scientology, and use them to it's a waste of time. Well, we'll address people like that, but at the same time, we're not stopping what we're doing. We continue to expand, we continue to grow, and get better. We actually get better, and it's like, irrespective of what she has to say, I understand there have been people who didn't have a good experience. But you can say that about any school. People get out of UCLA and they say it was a waste of money. Come out of USC, spend, like what I spent for my stepdaughter, they say it was a waste of money. Why should I, UNM, bad school, hate it. No, it's a good school. They just didn't do what they should have done, or maybe they weren't prepared. I don't know. That's an individual question, okay? There have been people that have gone into any belief, any subject, any school, and had a problem. I've had problems too, but I got them handled to my satisfaction, not somebody else's, this mysterious group out there, to their satisfaction. It's to my satisfaction, okay? And I will walk the day I find something that's a lie in there. And I mean a lie about Scientology, not about a Scientologist. All right?
Let me say, I'm aware that one of your volunteer ministers died during the tsunami meeting, and I felt bad about that. I know that the people who actually go to volunteer are really terrific people who are doing what they believe is right. I'm not sure I quite agree with you that when you say you're the only people
Oh,
who
no,
could
not
do
all
this
humans.
job, but I know
No,
that
no.
was just, a little hyperbole.
Thank you. The Red Cross was there. We were helping them too, and they're helping us.
I understand. There is a little concern from some people about not the people who are on the scene necessarily, although at 9/11 there were reports, there were emails that were sent out by Scientologists saying they were chasing the sites away, and other people who might be there to offer assistance. And I think there was some concern expressed in the media.
That might be true. That might be right. Yeah, I agree.
And there is a greater use of the volunteer ministers' aid efforts in publicity than you'd see from other groups. Scientology sends out PR releases about the good work they're doing. I
That's
don't
good.
necessarily see that from other churches or other organizations who are out trumpeting their success story. And that way, some people feel that the volunteer ministers are used more for PR than anything else. But I understand the people who are actually doing the work are good people who want to help.
Thank you. Nobody is using me. Nobody. Not OSA, not anybody else. I'm doing this because I want to be here, okay? And I want the truth put on the table. It doesn't have to be defended, okay? Truth doesn't have to be defended, okay? And the fact of the matter is that you might say I'm a PR, what do you want to call it, a pawn or something like that? I'm sorry? PR, whatever.